Welcome to So You Think Your Car is Fast, where we dive into the world of high-end, fast cars and explore what it truly means to have a fast car. From the latest in supercar technology to the mechanics that make these machines go, we'll separate fact from fiction and uncover the misconceptions about speed and power that exist in the minds of the general public. Join us as we put the pedal to the metal and discover what it takes to have a car that truly lives up to the title of fast.
Hey, you know what I was going to tell you guys? My train of thought moves quickly. I'm not saying I'm brilliant. I'm just saying I can go. Somebody can say something, and then I'm off in left field through a quick deal. But I did that track day. We talked about that on a couple episodes ago. I did that track day out at Eagles Canyon.
Mm-hmm.
With the GT3,
GT3
yeah. And my dad had his car and my son had his. Had a blast. Makes me feel like I want to learn to turn better also. So the last week or so, I've had my wheels turning.
Oh,
and
boy.
Bless my wife's heart. I couldn't decide what I want to do. Should I track a GT3? Probably not, because it would suck if I wrecked it, and it's probably way too much car for me. But then I knew I probably couldn't get my wife to sign off on letting me buy another car.
Uh-oh.
So I've been talking to Steve, and Steve has a customer who's casually selling a spec Boxster. So I thought I'd float the idea, to my wife last night, and I didn't get a no.
She didn't say yes, but the fact is she didn't say no.
Here's the problem, though, is I think if I do that, I'm probably going to have to buy her another fun zip around car.
That's the trade-off, isn't it?
That's the trade-off.
So would you get a paddock space at the track for it?
Well, if I did the spec Boxster, yeah, because I don't really have any more garage space at home. The problem is that I park my truck in my garage, and I really only have one spot that the truck will fit, I think. Wow. Otherwise, if I didn't, I could get creative and maybe buy another car lift and stack two cars, which I need to take some measurements this weekend because I may be able to do that still.
What you could do, get the lift, get the spec Boxster, and then buy your wife a car, and then you can park your truck outside.
Well, yeah, I could park my truck outside. That's true. But on cold days or when it's hailing,
it's
those
cold
are 2 days that
it's so cold.
I like it inside the garage. But
does it have a seat warmer and a steering wheel warmer too?
My truck?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I've found that when I leave at 7 a.m., it's too cold, but by 8:15, it's warmed up enough.
Well, sometimes I leave earlier than that.
Dan, are you even up at 8:15?
Hopefully not.
Me?
Dan.
Oh. I was going to say, the last 2 days, I've gotten up at about 4:30.
Oh, wow.
The last 2 days, I've still been up when you got up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But as you can see from my network operations center sign behind me, so a lot of my work happens during those hours. So
I'm probably jumping the gun on the whole track thing anyway. It's just my most recent shiny object that I've been attracted to.
I didn't say anything because I thought, well, you're gonna drag yourself over the coals thinking about it.
Yeah, I do that, and I think I've thought out enough and kind of have some possible solutions that I should probably step back and take a break from it. But what's crazy, the whole time I was at Eagles Canyon thinking and talking to him about what membership costs and even renting a like if I monthly rent a garage or a paddock out there, which makes sense if I have a track only car. Man, I have a boat that I keep at the lake and pay slip fees that my family does not use. I tried so hard to get my family to be a boat family.
It's a trade-off.
So I could, and here's the crazy thing is,
you could sell the boat?
I could sell my boat and stop paying storage fees, because my boat's on a lift in a slip at the lake.
I didn't even know you had a boat.
Yeah, well, so a lot of people don't because I don't.
I had no idea either.
I grew up. I loved going to the lake as a kid. We were at the lake a lot, and I loved it. But my family is not. They just don't like it that much. So probably the last 3 years I've debated selling the boat. So if I do that, I could sell my boat and stop paying those slip fees and cover my membership and almost the spec Boxster.
Well, it sounds like a no-brainer to me, Taylor.
I know. But the thing is I gotta learn how to drive a little bit first. Got to get
Yeah.
certified so I can be in a car by myself on the track.
No better car to learn than in that Miata or that Miata, that Boxster.
Yeah. Well,
Miatas are good. Miatas are good for that too.
yeah.
Miatas are good because you can just put your foot on the floor and go around the whole track, and you really can't
Never
get in
lift.
much trouble.
No, but you learn how to turn in them. I'll tell you, man, it was impressive. I had my instructor, I let him take the GT3 out during one of the members laps, and he romped on it. I mean, he drove the GT3 aggressively. I'm not saying 10 tenths, but 7 tenths, 8 tenths. And there were dudes in Miatas that were hanging with us.
Because they don't have to lift.
It was and I guess that's what my instructor told me, and even Steve told me too, is the GT3, it's just fast enough that you can make up for a lot of errors on the straightaways, and then you don't learn as well as you could. But I don't want to get rid of the GT3 either, though. So I don't know. I want it all.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Man,
That is, don't we all?
I'm
Yeah.
just
I
being
want it
honest.
all.
Just being honest.
Yeah, I have the same problem as you, Taylor. I have all my garage spots are full, and I have cars that sit outside sometimes.
Well, and I guess your problem is a couple of those cars are SUVs. You could stack the Porsches.
Yeah, the thought had crossed my
Mhm.
mind. That would give me another spot, but then I'm gonna want to put something in it. You know, like, so I'm like, should I spend $5,000-6,000 on a lift and then have an empty spot staring me in the face? Because then I'm gonna buy something. And
I mean, I thought it was a great idea.
I always wanted an RX-7.
I think if I want to get a second little, play car weekend, I think it would be an R8. Maybe just a simple twin turbo build.
Oh, an R8. Oh, I guess Rotary was on my mind when Dan said RX-7 and you said R8. I heard RX-8, and I was like, "What is wrong with you?"
Nope,
Those
but
were
I
the
still
biggest disappointment of a car ever.
is what?
The RX-8, the Mazda
yeah.
RX-8, where they're like, guys, Mazda says, we're bringing back a version of the RX-7. Everybody's getting excited. And they're like, and the car's ugly and it's slow and it blows up.
Ooh.
Well, that's like that's what rotaries do.
I know, but at least when an RX-7 ran, it was fun to drive and could be fast. The RX-8s are just like the worst idea from several car types and melded into just garbage.
Not a fan, huh?
They were ugly.
People almost pay you to take them from them if you find them for sale.
Well, they did that like partial door thing for the back, so the thing looks all goofy, and the engine, they were like, we won't turbocharge it. Yeah, that won a lot of awards, that decision.
Yeah. But the R8s are, they are cool. They really are.
Yeah.
They're not cheap.
Problem is, if I got an R8, I'd never get to drive it because my wife would steal it from me.
That's probably true too.
My problem is I need a garage. I need to finish that first.
You're going to build a garage.
Yeah. I need to build the garage. I need to pour the slab first. I just need to get on that. I just haven't.
You had a garage.
I had a garage, but it was only 2 cars. So we don't like 2-car garages. We want, I think it's going to be an 8-car garage.
There you go.
But you converted your garage into part of the house, right?
Yeah.
Living quarters.
It's living quarters. So, but yeah, that would probably be, unless it's either an R8 or a stock GT3. That would be fun.
I want a 997 GT3. A couple of years ago, you could get them for 80,000. Now they're 120.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think anybody could buy cars like ours for less than 200.
I got a DM the other day saying, "Hey, what's your number?"
You're like, my phone number?
I said,
my favorite lucky number 5.
He's like, what's your, if you want to sell, I'm like, I don't know. I think I said 230 or something, somewhere around there. I said, I don't need to sell it, so you're gonna have to give me a lot of money.
He left you on red after that.
Yeah.
Right?
He was from a Middle Eastern country.
Well, those guys are known to pay good money for cars.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd sell mine. I don't think there's a number that would make me sell. If you're realistic about it, I don't. It's still all too new for me and working out the kinks that I wouldn't.
I got a text from one of the techs over at Driver Source where my car and Dan's car is sitting. He sent me a text and he sent me a photo of the two cars sitting together, and he says, "Hey, some guy in a blue camo is going to pay big money so these two cars don't make it to the next
He
race."
told you, huh? Jerk.
Busted.
We're not in the same class anyway.
Do we have the photo?
We do. Here, I will show you the photo. So here we are sitting. So Dan's car is on the right, red 997. Mine's on the left, red 997 GT3. Just sitting there without engines or transmissions.
Hey, guess who's calling me right now?
Wayne.
Mr. Ott.
Oh, Steve. Oh, put him on speaker.
Oh,
I don't know. Should I?
I'll warn him first.
Oh, I missed the call.
I'll call him back. It'll be fun.
Should I?
Why not?
Say, hey, you want to be a guest? Ooh, it sounds serious, Dan.
Steve's always serious.
All right.
He sounds like happy Steve, though.
Yeah, he doesn't sound like an angry Steve at the moment.
I can't hear what he's saying, but
yeah. It's funny. I'm sitting here with Todd and Dan, our podcast. Someday we're gonna have you on as a guest. How do you feel about that?
Do I have to be honest? He says.
Okay. I'll talk to Todd.
We won't try to push him to a safer location. I want to hear the safer location story.
Oh, his racing stories are the best. Steve Ott drove over a GT3 and his GTR at a race in Florida.
He said his guest fees are pretty high.
Ooh.
Oh,
so I told him Todd would cover that.
That sounds like Steve.
But yeah, Steve is he's pretty serious. He's pretty serious.
He's always serious. He's great. What did he say? Anything good?
He talked to Wayne. Wayne is gonna work. He said shifting's pretty good on it, but they're gonna take the power level that I'm sitting at right now and do a couple experiments and just make sure that we've got everything done. And then he's gonna work on launch control and something else, and I can't remember.
Can we discuss Steve driving over a GT3 in his GTR right now?
Yeah.
Let's.
I think Jared's stuff from that car that he was tuning, I think motivated some
juices
work on the launch control.
Oh, here, okay, real quick.
I think it got Steve's attention too.
Look at this. Steve's coming. I think this was a World Challenge race in Florida or somewhere, and Steve is coming around a turn, going to the right. A GT3 stops in front of him.
Everybody's up to speed. A little spin from Lindsay.
Get out of my way.
That's Steve in the red GTR there. Unfortunately, the video kind of looks like it was filmed with a potato.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you like circle anything or highlight it like as he's coming around? You know.
All right. Let's see. So
style.
Steve's in the red GTR.
Right there. And then
that's Ott really the victim in this one.
Ott really the victim in this.
Yeah, the guy driving over the other guy. That's the victim.
Is not what the guy in the white GT3 said.
No,
I mean, he must have got a really good look at the underside of that GTR. Like, you'd have to be sitting there in your driver's seat of your 911 watching this happen, thinking, I shouldn't be seeing that part of that.
Do I see the underside of a GTR going over my windscreen right now?
That's kind of a underbuilt drive shaft in that thing, you know. What you're thinking.
Talk about true 4x4, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I thought Steve liked Porsches. Why did he do that?
He had zero respect for that one.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
That's what happens when you work on them so much. You're like, whatever.
Sometimes you just have to drive straight, man.
Right. That's right. Tired of turning.
You know, that also made me think of something. When I was a kid, my mom, well, I guess when my mom was a kid, my mom was a hairdresser. Like, that's how she got her schooling, and her and my dad owned a salon when I was born. The guy that taught the hair school, super nice guy, super into cars, like hardcore into cars. And my mom said he was always into like Porsches and Corvettes, and he'd race and stuff. Well, when I was 16, we took a trip over there and we went over to his house, and he had one of the first 1995 Ford Mustang Cobra R's.
Okay.
And it was the year that they only made that Cobra R in white, and it was basically a stripped down car ready to race. And I think my details might be fuzzy, or he may have exaggerated, but he told me that it was the number 3 car off the assembly line, and that Ford kept the first 1 and 2. In fact, he was offered whatever I don't know what circuit he raced in. I don't know. He was amateur, but even GM, when the C5 first came out, offered him a C5 to race. And he's like, no. I love this Cobra R.
Wow.
Well, he let me drive it as a 16-year-old. Now, today it's nothing, right? Like, that's not that big of a deal. But as a 16-year-old, that was an awesome car. And it was cool that he let me drive it. But one thing he told me, he said, as a race car driver, he didn't do any of the work on his cars. And he said, he talked to a lot of people out there, and a lot of guys did, like, they'd work on their car and they'd race their car. And he said it put him in a position where he would drive his car way harder than the guy that built his own, because he just let somebody else fix it. And, that guy that's beating on the car that he just built, he's got to do it again. And I've always, that's always stuck with me is, the attitude of, well, if it breaks, we'll have Steve Ott fix it. That's why that never lift. That's
I think we're spoiled. We do have it.
Oh, for sure.
We do have it pretty good with Steve-O. And I hope he realizes that we're not trying to abuse him.
I mean,
on purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah, my GT3 needs an oil change, and I want to take it to Steve, but it's a 4-hour drive.
Yeah, that's a ways to go for that.
I'm sure he's not going to be too beat up about that. I mean, you can take it to RAC. Is that roof dealer still around in Dallas?
Yeah, they're here.
Yeah, RAC Performance.
Okay,
I'm sure there was some trademark thing that they had to change their name.
Is Hans still running it?
Hans Hoffman, yeah, he's always been super nice to me.
Perfect.
And I get it, because I've run shops before where the customer that comes in for answers all the time and never buys anything, that's not always the best person to deal with. But Hans has always been super nice to me. But for basic stuff, I like John over at Porsche Plano.
Yeah, they want like $650 for an oil change.
I just had the GT3 in there. I did the track inspection, an oil change, and I had them do a brake fluid flush with the SRF brake fluid, which isn't cheap. And I'm sure buying that fluid at the Porsche dealer is more expensive than buying it off of Amazon. It was like $700 for all that. I guess I didn't ask how much the brake fluid flush was going to be.
You know what I'm thinking about? Texas 2K rules this year are requiring belly pans.
Yeah.
For every car.
And no coolant.
And you can't run coolant. You have to run water. Can't run water wetter.
You can't run water.
You can't even run.
You can't run oil. They're not letting you run oil this time either. You better do that. What was that old as seen on TV stuff? Slick 50.
Yeah, you got to run Slick 50.
In and then drained it out and still ran the car for 50,000 miles.
Well, here's the problem. I don't have a belly pan. So I've spoken with AIM Performance in New Jersey, and those boys are promising me a belly pan before 2K. I said, is it going to be before 2K? Am I going to be installing this in the paddock? So we'll see.
It'll be there. They'll install it for you.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, we'll bring it and install it. Oh, thanks, boys. Because look, without
what's this charge right here? That's the travel fee.
Yeah. Without it, I can't participate. I can't pass tech. None of the Porsche can. None of the cars can.
I mean, shipping a belly pan would be expensive, so you're probably
would
better off having them bring it.
If it's a true bolt-on and they can use existing bolt holes, sure, I guess no problem, right? Steve's not going to be happy about that.
If it fits one of the cars in their shop, it'll fit yours.
Do you think there's any differences between a 997 turbo? Well, I'm sure there's a difference between a 997 turbo and my car because of the narrow body, right?
Well, a turbo, but I mean, I don't know that there's any spacing different underneath the car.
And where are they going to attach it?
Good question. I've probably to like the under tray bolts, right? Like take one of the under tray pieces off, and which are the same. Well, I guess we can look at the part numbers and tell. That's a good question. I don't know.
I spoke to Dave Briggs and we were talking about it because he needs one too. And he's like, yeah, they're working on it. And I'm like, okay.
I mean, those AIM guys, they'll get it done.
They will. I could just see him showing up. Oh yeah. Hey, we forgot yours. Too bad you can't participate.
Yeah, they will. They will say that too.
So Taylor.
Yo.
Do you have any idea if you can run 50 PSI safely?
Yes.
I don't know. Depends on who you talk to, I guess.
It's just a number, man.
And that's the thing too and I'm not as up to the details as like Dan is, but PSI is not what people think it is. Like you know what I mean? Like you can't say you can't people do all the time, but you can't really get an accurate comparison. Like if you say this car over here runs 15 pounds of boost and this one runs 17 pounds of boost, like it's PSI, pounds per square inch, is a resistance measurement. It's not an airflow measurement.
Well, sure, from car to car, it doesn't, it's whatever. But in the Porsche world, it's relative, right?
Well, the problem is though is that people think about boost as like a measurement of either power or airflow, and it's not that.
Yeah, so your engine is an air pump. And so if you're comparing your engine to your own engine and you talk about X versus Y amount of boost, that is meaningful. But, so if you have a 4-liter engine running 30 pounds of boost and you have a 8-liter engine running half of that amount of boost, pretty much the same. But what ends up happening is you have different intake manifolds, different exhaust manifolds, different turbochargers, different turbine wheels, different turbine housings, all sorts of different things. So really the only thing you can say about the amount of boost, I wouldn't say that it's a resistance, although yeah, I get where you're coming from with that. But it is the the pressure of the air awaiting to enter the engine. And so just because you're running 50 pounds or 60 pounds or even 70 pounds of boost, that doesn't really tell you what's going on. What matters is the cylinder pressure, which ultimately is what's generating torque, right? So at 40 pounds of boost, you're going to make a lot of cylinder pressure, a lot of torque. At 50 pounds of boost in your engine, you're going to make more cylinder pressure, more torque.
What always helped me kind of understand that is that if you have if everything's the same and you change turbos, you can make more power with less boost depending on how you size your turbos, right, Dan?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, all day. Because if you have a larger turbo and you effectively have this air pump that we're talking about,
it moves more air.
Even though it's still a 4-liter air pump, it's more efficient. You hear people talk about volumetric efficiency, and nobody really in the car world really actually understands what that means.
VE.
And that's exactly what it means. It means that it can more efficiently fill and then empty that 4-liter volume. And of course that efficiency varies based on RPM. It's harder to keep a high efficiency number at high RPM because you have less time to fill that volume, and you have less time to to empty that volume. So if you have all things being equal, you have a larger turbine and a larger compressor, you're more efficient. And so your compressor wheel is heating the air going into it less, and it's more free flowing on the way out. So you might make more power on less boost as a result of it. But it gets difficult because there's the whole thing is a sum of the parts and the system. And if you plug any one part of the system, the rest of it doesn't work right.
Right.
So usually
it doesn't mean nothing. It's just not an absolute measurement. There's more things involved. But
yeah,
to the original question,
have ways to quantify it. We have to logically deduce based on the data that we do have what's going on, and usually it's difficult to pinpoint one particular thing.
Yeah. But to the question of can I run 50? I don't know.
Yeah, all day.
These are limits that I haven't experienced with other cars, right? Like normally, when I first started modifying cars, if you had a turbocharged car, you had to be careful that if you crank the turbo up, you either didn't have enough fuel or maybe you'd find the weak spot of the engine or something like that. But at this point, we're running the turbos out, like the engine's built and it handles it. And it's just how much the turbo can do. I mean, you can overspin them or, they start creating more heat and then they're basically cannibalizing the power they're making. So I don't know. We'll see.
You should have enough fuel for 2,000 horsepower on ethanol.
Oh yeah, my fuel system's pretty good, and I think my turbos should support more than I can do.
There's some kind of efficiency thing going on with your engine. I think the 1,300 number at 43 pounds of boost with no ice is better than we've seen before. but I don't know that it's quite where it needs to be. I think
Yeah.
I think there's still more there that we're missing. It's better, but when you run ice, number one, the air is denser going into that's hitting the turbo, and the turbos will spool up quite a bit earlier with that really cold air.
Is he spraying meth during those dyno runs? No
Well,
meth either?
The computer thought he was, because the methanol duty was in the photo, and it was that I saw anyway, and it was a non-zero number.
Yeah, but is
I
my
don't think it
meth?
was. I don't think it was actually spraying meth, but I think the computer thought that it was.
No, but I want to say that when we pulled the meth off, like, is the meth just my intercooler pump being on or off?
Could be.
I almost want to say I remember somebody saying that that's how they when Trey and Wayne set up my intercooler pump to turn on, they did it on the meth parameter.
So here we have I have a photo of that dyno pull, Taylor. 1302 at 6,500 RPMs.
Yeah, and I know why there's the dip there at the end, is because the boost control on Taylor's car is really, really sensitive. Like 1% of duty cycle on the wastegate control is significant, and it did a little wibble wobble there. That's something else. It's that 4-port.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. The 4-port.
We're all seemingly running into this problem, but trying to get up into the 50 psi range of getting boost control working right, because we all want to be able to run lower boost as well, just to tootle. I don't know why we care about tootle around town boost, but we seem to.
Well, I'm not saying 1300 is not good. I don't think I've ever been able to take advantage of the power my car makes all the way, because I've always had some other issue going on, right? Like we had an issue where I wasn't spraying meth, so my intake temps got up to like 220, 230, and the Cyvex started pulling timing. So that was one issue I had. The other issue was I was having to manually shift the transmission, and we were throwing it in a limp mode, which was kind of dumb. Then when we finally got it auto shifting, it was shifting almost 1,000 RPM too early. And then there was the whole, boost leak issue where I lost that turbo.
Yeah. Well, you're confusing, not using all your power throughout the entire run. You're just not sorted yet.
Yeah.
I mean, even a sorted car like mine was for a while, I couldn't put all the power down at all until the middle of fourth, really.
Yeah.
You just won't. I mean, I can't in rear wheel drive. I can't put it down. I mean, we're on wastegates through second gear. What's that? 19 PSI, right? So I'm not even, Wayne's not even giving me the beans until middle of fourth, which is 160.
Yeah, which would be nice for me too, because I know we took a lot of boost out down low because of that whole first gear issue where I wasn't even, I was half throttle, 50, 60% throttle through first gear, shift it real early just so the transmission could make the shift, and then just, start finally taking off in third. So it'll be interesting to see if what kind of trap speed we can improve just correcting some of this stuff.
Yeah. Well, that's the difference between, look, 165 for me is right at the 1/4 mark. So if I can't, I'd like to run on a prep track, right?
And when you say quarter mark, you mean quarter mile, which is
quarter
half
mile mark.
half
Yeah.
mile.
The quarter mile mark, halfway down the run at shift sector, and I'm not even full power yet. What I'd like to do is be able to put that power down early, but the airports aren't prepped.
Well, we just need to put some tire under you, Todd.
Yeah, but you know me, and I don't want those big old, big old balloon Hoosiers. I don't want that. I guess maybe if I want to go faster, I might have to throw some on.
Go look at one of Antonio Calvo's cars. He can make it look good.
They are the best form of transportation after all.
Right.
Superior form of transportation.
All right, well, that'll wrap up this week's episode. Guess next week, hopefully we get some more information on Dan's car, Todd's car, and we'll be 3 weeks out from Hondo and TX2K. So we'll see you next week.